I'm not sure anybody hikes the Appalachian Trail to see the wildlife, but there is wildlife to see. I almost always stop to look at wild animals, no matter what they are, and I consider a scene like this a rare treat. We're going to talk about the deer, snakes, and poisonous snakes you might see on the AT, plus dogs that hikers bring to the trail, and the one animal that gives AT hikers the most trouble. I'm not talking about bears and ticks. I've already done videos on those and the links are in the description. I'm talking about the animal that is most likely, statistically speaking, to give a hiker trouble, and that is the mouse. You could sleep at 10, 15, or 20 wooden shelters on the Appalachian Trail with no evidence of mice anywhere. And then you could sleep at another shelter that is crawling with mice at night. When they show up, they are looking for food and they search everywhere. They can run across your face, crawl to the bottom of your pack, and chew up anything that strikes their fancy. I have had mice run across my face in the middle of the night. They were fast and not very big. The smallest mouse on average in the eastern United States is the deer mouse, and there are dozens of subspecies. The house mouse and white-footed mouse also are along the AT, and they are slightly bigger, but not by much. It's true I did not actually see the animals, and in theory they could have been voles or chipmunks, but a vole can weigh twice as much as a deer mouse, and a chipmunk is huge by comparison, weighing up to 7 times as much as a deer mouse. Some AT mice have the guts of military commandos. One night in a really heavy rain, a friend left some granola in his pack sitting in his tent vestibule. It was the last night of a section hike, and he didn't bother to hang his food. The granola was all he had left, but a mouse crawled to the bottom of his pack and chewed into the package. We had camped near a shelter, and a creek separated us from the shelter. The mouse might have left the shelter and crossed the footbridge in heavy rain to see what he could find. Mice are infuriating when they cause these problems, but they also can carry deer ticks, and deer ticks can carry Lyme disease. These cords running through cans were hanging at a wooden AT shelter, and the cans are designed to keep mice from reaching food bags hanging on the cords. The best thing hikers can do to thwart mice is to hang their food. I always hang my food in a tree, unless a bear pole is nearby, and never in the shelter. If by some miracle every hiker would hang their food off the ground and not spill any, mice would have no reason to enter a shelter. I think many hikers do take those precautions. Based on what I have seen, many shelters have no mice. Many shelters have a broom standing inside, and it's a good plan to sweep thoroughly if you plan to sleep in that shelter. Rattlesnakes and copperheads are 2 types of poisonous snakes often found on the AT. I was following another guy who almost stepped on this rattlesnake before it started to rattle. We have to give rattlesnakes points for courtesy. They do rattle to let us know they're there, but they might not do it until we are several feet away from them. If a hiker is wearing earbuds and listening to music or whatever, that hiker might not hear a rattlesnake in time to jump out of its way. Copperheads make no noise, but I have read most of the 8,000 poisonous snake bites in the United States each year were rattlesnake bites. I never step over anything big on the trail, like a fallen log, without a glance to make sure no copperhead is on the other side. One hiker I know found a copperhead that way. If I am stealth camping in tall grass or ferns, I use a trekking pole to check for snakes in the immediate area. The Mayo Clinic has a page on snake bites, and I put the link in the description. Using a tourniquet or cutting yourself where the snake bit you are not recommended. Getting to a hospital fast is recommended. Along some areas of the Appalachian Trail, getting to a hospital fast could be a challenge. The Appalachian Trail Conservancy says cell phone reception is unpredictable, and many areas have no service. Our best defense against poisonous snakes is to keep our ears and eyes open. Plenty of other snakes can be found on the AT, and this black snake is a nice example. You don't want any snake biting you, and if we keep our distance, probably none of them will. You are bound to see a lot of deer if you hike a lot of miles on the AT. They are white-tailed deer for those who don't know. They are most likely to be does. Any bucks you see are likely to disappear fast, like this one. Deer hunting is allowed along the AT in many areas. In most states, the earliest deer hunting is archery season, and the earliest archery season I know of starts in September. Much of the AT is rough terrain, and many, if not most, deer hunters prefer hunting in easier terrain. Even where hunting is allowed, I've been close to a lot of deer and have taken many photos. Many things must be considered if we take our dog onto the Appalachian Trail. High on the list is the dog's physical condition. The AT is rough on hikers, and it can be rough on dogs and their feet. The AT has a number of rocky sections of trail that virtually require hikers to use their hands to climb. A hiking dog has to be able to navigate those rocks. This dog was a section hiker, but she's about the best example of a hiking dog I've ever seen. She had no interest in me at all, and that's about ideal behavior for a dog on the AT. Instead, she wanted to look at all the scenery, so her heart was in the hike. Her owner told me he had been taking her on short hikes for about a year, and her feet were in good shape. He also said she never chased deer. She was also carrying her share of the load. This is a really good dog. Dogs are not allowed in 3 areas along the AT: the Great Smoky Mountain National Park in Tennessee and North Carolina, Baxter State Park in Maine, and part of Bear Mountain Park in New York. Also, along 40% of the Appalachian Trail, dogs must be on a leash. I have put a link to these rules in the description. The Appalachian Trail Conservancy recommends dogs always be on a leash, that dogs' feces be buried, and that dogs never be allowed to stand in a spring or any source of drinking water. And once again, we are done. If you have not yet subscribed, it would be very much appreciated. And as always, thanks for watching.